Hey, Maru, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. As always, we will give everyone a couple minutes to filter in. And Maru, just to confirm you can see my screen with the lunch and learn slide up, please.
Yes, it's up.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we got a pre-submitted question, but Jeremy's not here, so if you have a question, just let us know. You can use the raise hand feature, ask your question in the Q&A section, or just type it out into chat, as always. All right, Murray. Go ahead, Murray. What do you got?
Okay, so we just upgraded from 6.10 to 6.19
Okay.
on our development server. And none of my show hide rules for my form are working. I expected that because that's what happened the last time we upgraded. So I recreated all of them. Visibility rules aren't working. I recreated all of them. Just the visibility part, I didn't actually do the underlying rule. And they're still not working. Am I missing a step somewhere?
So are we talking about a visibility rule on a form?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So like you hide or show like a text box or something, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And those broke after upgrade to 6.19?
Yes.
Okay, and you had this happen to you before?
Yep.
That's unexpected. If I could make you a presenter, and then you could share your screen. We do record these, so you'd have to, as long as you're okay with that, we could look through it and try to figure out why. Otherwise, I'm not sure. In the debugger, when you execute your flow, do you see the rule run like on the left-hand side? The visibility rule?
I don't know how to make it run with one of my cases.
You could, usually it's the folder ID of the case. So if you were to click into a case, like to get the case folder view, you can copy the folder ID out of the URL.
Okay.
Like this is an entity, this is like a case state flow or like an entity action on a case, something like that?
Yes, it's an entity action.
Yeah, then you want to get the ID of that entity, and oftentimes I think it should be the case ID, which should be the folder ID. So if you click into the case, you can copy the folder ID out and then use that.
Okay, unfortunately, the broken version has client production data in it, so I can't show it to you. So,
okay.
Well, I mean, I can show it to you, but I can't put it on a lunch and learn. So,
right.
But I have not run it through the debugger to see if the rules actually run or not. So I will try that.
That's what I would start there to see if the rules have. So in the is it okay? So it's not an action visibility rule; it's a form visibility rule.
Yes, I can show you that part if you'd like.
Sure. Okay, let me promote you to a panelist, and then let me stop my share if you want to share.
Sorry, I'm negotiating to the spot where it's at.
Okay, let's see your screen now. Now, was it all or some of your rules that stopped working? Maybe, did you, are you on mute now, right? I'm not hearing, if you're speaking, I'm not hearing anything you're saying.
I'm sorry, it muted itself again, sorry. When I rejoined, it muted. Sorry about that. Okay, so as far as I know, this is the only one that works.
Okay,
It successfully hides this if you don't need it.
okay.
Or it could be hiding it all the time because it's rare that I need it. But these down here should disappear based on whether it's a check or an ACH or a wire. I've tried all of these. They always all show up. It does not ever hide them.
What are those? Are those outcome path buttons? Like click on one of them so I can see it?
Sure.
Okay, so this is a regular outcome path button.
Mhm.
Go to open up
And this-
behavior for me. Or yeah,
behavior,
view,
okay, sure.
is it behavior? Okay. And you're trying to hide or show the particular buttons based on some inputs, right?
Correct. Mhm. So this one should only appear if the payment by is wire, but it appears on all the time instead,
Only after the upgrade?
only after the upgrade.
There's nothing different. You shouldn't have to redo these things, right? So there's some sort of progression here that we really would need support to try to
And
get a
I
feel
have
for.
I have a ticket and I added this to my ticket once I redid all the rules and they still didn't work. I added it to the ticket about stuff that's not working in this since the upgrade. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to say, especially if we can't, like, let's go look at the process, the one that hides process. Maybe we could figure this out really quick.
Okay.
So go back to the visibility rule list.
There we go.
And find the one that hides process.
Okay, this one should hide process.
Okay, ACH button. So it takes in a string,
Mhm.
runs at startup, scroll down. And it apply to controls.
There are no triggers, and apply to controls is, scroll down here, it should be towards the bottom. So this is an ACH rule, so it should hide 3 or 4 of them. It should hide manual check, e-pay, and process. It does not. They all
Okay.
appear.
And let's look at your rule really quick.
Sure.
Hide if rule evaluates true. Okay.
Mhm.
So is payment in ACH? Payment by equals ACH. Payment by is a string. I close this
Sure.
and then edit the rule input payment by. Okay, so this is not getting data from anywhere right now. Are you passing data in
Okay.
from the flow or getting it from a component?
I thought I was getting it from a component. At least that's what I took down before. But it wasn't one of my choices here.
Hold on. Are you using labels? Are you passing in data from labels?
Possibly because they didn't want it to be editable.
I know the exact issue you're talking about.
Okay.
We need Cameron's help here. Who has your, let me find
Jackson.
your ticket. Jackson.
Jackson doesn't. We have a call this afternoon.
Okay, we need to get Cam. Do you have the ticket number handy?
I can get it. It is T044180.
044180.
Correct.
Okay. I think I know the issue here, right? And in fact, this is kind of expected. So we might need Cameron hit the same issue with someone else who is using labels as non-editable controls effectively.
Okay.
To pass data into. So I don't know where Cameron got with this when he hit this issue before. Like he was working on some prototype like solutions. I
Okay.
think one of the options was to create form input data with the same exact name that could allow this to occur. But Cam, I think what we can do is ask Cam to join that call with you and Jackson this afternoon.
Okay.
And I just reached out to Brian and asked him to do that. So I think let's get him to, one of the options was to, I think, close this and scroll up in the property grid a bit. Yeah, close that as well. Sorry, yeah,
Okay.
close that. And then
Mhm.
scroll in the form property grid to the back to the top.
Okay.
Yeah, oops, sorry, no, keep going down a little bit, a bit. I believe it was to add form input data with the same name here. And
Okay.
then I think that was the trick, but I'd have to ask Cam to be certain. But basically there was we prevent you from doing this now.
Okay.
Because, right, so before you could use labels as these sort of like holding reservoirs for values, they that was a hole that the product team fixed.
Gotcha.
That they so this is what I'd meet with Cam and Jackson this afternoon, and then I think we can work together to figure out a plan of attack based on that. Cam has definitely hit this particular issue with a different customer of ours, WEDC, before.
All right. Perfect. That's what I needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and let me go ahead and if you want to stop your share,
Okay.
and then I'll, oops, see, change role back to attendee. And then I'll reshare my screen somewhere. There it is. Okay. And all right, and let's see here. Ashley, you had a question about wanting to discuss some of the things that you've built.
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hi, Will. So can I share my screen? How do I do it?
Sure. Let me. All right. I think you should have a screen share option available now. And it might have muted you, just a heads up.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, okay. You can go ahead and share your screen.
Well, first let me tell you about my project. We recently started building stuff in Decisions. We are fairly new, about a year old. We have got several. We have done several projects. We have several projects under our belt. The primary purpose that we use Decisions is basically as a rules engine to do all the background calculations and processing, and just supplement the work done by the front end. One of the tasks that was assigned to me was to actually do a unit test correctness per se. So each of our projects, we do have the three, development stage, UAT, and production. And the way we ensure that that everything is working in these environments is, when we are migrating them, is to check the unit tests and make sure each of the unit tests is working correctly. So that's how we can confidently move our stuff into production.
Okay.
And this unit test thing that project that I've been working on was to basically make sure that each and every flow that we have in our projects has got, this unit test rule associated with it, and has got input data associated with it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I got all that figured out, everything, and I came up with the project. This was the basic principle here. The first block, you could look at this as subroutines, in Decisions. The first subroutine would actually go and directly access the database and get all the unit tests get all the flows that have unit tests and get all the unit tests basically. Then I wrote a C# DLL to actually get this information.
Okay, sure.
Both had to help me get this information.
Okay.
And then the final step would basically be to report on these. We would be getting the creator, the flow creator's email address, so we could send them an email saying, hey, you have not.
Okay, sure.
Your unit test is incomplete, so you need to get on working with that. That was the premise of the whole project, and that's how I started building it. So here you see I built the first block, and it still has the first name, find all unit tests, which is exactly what the first thing was supposed to do. And I get inside, and this guy's and I start building it. My object for encapsulate, for holding all this information is basically this report object, and it contains all the information. This top information comes from this box, and then the actual unit test information is going to be a child object for this reports object. And I've created two flow structures for that, and unit test quality report, which contains the unit test data, which is the response that I'm getting from my DLL with the information about that unit test. So coming to the unit test, I needed to contain this in a list, so I use the create list builder. Because if you look at it, it just directly takes a list type that you have to associate it with it, and that's it. You don't have to worry anything about it, about anything else. And I came up to this point here, and I went to try and create my next module, which would basically iterate through this list of unit tests that I have, and then get the unit test data, the actual unit test data. And that's where I came across, I started having problems. The first problem was that this create a list builder, the object that it returns is the unit test quality report. That is the name of my object, list builder object. Now this list builder object, I cannot pass it to another subroutine. So
yeah, I would just use a create data step and declare an empty list of unit test quality report on that create data step instead of using a list builder here.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that obviously solved my first problem. Okay, then we come to the next issue that I have is that so this is the first object. Then once I come to the second object is where I have to update this list. I've got this list. I've got the list containing all these objects, and now I have to add this attribute to it. I could not find any list function that allowed me to update values.
There's an add item to list step.
That would add a new add item to list step.
Yeah, there's add item. You can just search for it. I just search for add item, 2 words.
Okay.
Yeah, add item to list step. Yeah.
Let's take an empty one.
So you would declare an empty list with a create data step, right? And then if you look at this step, you would build a new item and then pass in the list, the empty list to original list. And on your output there, where it says done new list, we're in rename, you change that. You say change value of your list.
Okay, let's say. Okay, let's say. Okay, let's use this.
Make it a, make it a list.
List.
Yeah.
So and here the new item I would so I already have a list item. Let's consider that I already have a list item and I want to append what is this? I have to append this child object to it. Right?
You could do build, you would like, if you look at your add item to list step, like go set your type from string to your unit test type.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Now click build data on new item. And then unit test data, click build data as
I
well.
would build that. Okay, yeah, okay.
And then you get the individual properties that you can map to.
Okay. And then what would this original list and the output list be?
It'd
The
be-
original list would be the list that had.
Yep, exactly. You named yours test, right? So you'd select value test.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we got it. And then the last trick is under output, change it from rename to change value. And then select that test again. And that means that every time it moves through, it'll add an item and update the original list.
Okay.
And then
okay.
you can just map into the properties that you have under the new item build data.
Okay, that helps. Yeah, I guess that's what I was looking for. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, you bet. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and change your rollback. And reshare my screen. What other questions do we have from the crowd today? We had a question, pre-submitted question. They haven't joined today, but I'll go ahead and answer it. From Jeremy, can we have different URLs to access decisions? One URL for end user portal for normal user and one URL for Design Studio for administrators and designer use. Unfortunately, you can't. The same base portal URL is going to exist for both the end user portal and the Designer Studio. So unfortunately, Jeremy, you don't have the ability to configure different URLs for the end user portal and the Designer Studio. The paths will be different, of course, but the actual the root URL has to be the same. Okay, Chris, when using a folder extension, it calls for folder description when updating, and I can't find that field. All right. Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. When using a folder, it calls for folders when updating. Is that using like the default update step that you're using there?
The only step is edit. And
Ah.
so I think it's not a selective update. I think it's you don't supply it, it's going to be null. And so one of the things that it asks for besides the folder ID, the folder name, is folder description. I can't, I mean, there's, custom long description, custom short description, but there is no folder description.
I think what you'll want to do, I prefer a slightly different pattern here. Let me just make a space since this is more of a build question. Last day of January. And if I created a quick case here.
I'm doing a folder extension. I don't know if it makes a difference.
Oh, no, thank you. Sorry. Well, let me stick with your example here. I'm just going to build my stuff here. All right, and if I were to build a flow and then find user defined folder extension example 1. So you have an edit here, and this actually does want folder description, doesn't it? Let's assume I was getting one here. So I would get one. And then if I were looking at the mappings here for folder description, you should be able to use result extended folder description. That should be, so we added in kind of in 6 at some point the ability to have the data mapper actually get, in our world, a folder extension is a 2 different objects, a folder and your type that's joined together by like a prime or like a foreign key relationship if you look at it just in the database. And then it can surface the folder data for you automatically. So you can use extended folder. This is actually the whole folder object that this is attached to, available for that you can map down into.
That's perfect, because I used that extended folder for the other 2, but I apparently didn't scroll all the way down to the bottom to see description. Awesome. Thank you, Will.
You bet. Happy to help. All right. Who else has got questions for us today? Copy your question into the chat here. All right, we're about 30 minutes in. Anybody have anything? If not, we'll go ahead and call it an afternoon. Appears not. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining and asking your questions today. Please let us know what other questions you got, and make sure everyone else at your orgs knows about our Lunch and Learns. I will be back tomorrow at noon Eastern. Thanks everyone. Have a great afternoon.